5 boys, 1 little lady, 5 tents in a country dominated by caravans. 11,000 kilometres around Australia with a Landcruiser with 630,000 kilometres on the clock. This has to be the craziest mission we've ever embarked on. A desperate mission to escape Tasmania's cold, wet winter and head north chasing the sun. A dream of driving through the harsh deserts across to far north Queensland and its tropical forests, waterfalls and ocean reefs. Well, I've done some crazy adventures in my time, but I think this one is gonna take the cake. We'll have a large pack each, which will be for hiking and any bigger adventures that we do. We'll all have a day pack each for the car. That'll have our jet boils and our cooking gear. Between the 2 younger boys, they'll have 1 pack for their fishing gear so that they don't stink out their day packs. They'll all have a rod each. They're mad keen fishermen. Everyone's got a little lightweight seat, although we haven't updated a couple of them. We're still using the bigger ones. We've got a very basic toolkit, all my camera gear, my workstation. This will be my laptop for editing, drone, a little pump for pumping up all 6 mattresses a lot quicker. In the main packs, everyone will be carrying their own tent. They'll have their sleeping bag, their mattresses, all their cooking gear. They'll be responsible to take care of themselves. The idea behind this trip is that it'll kind of be like a minimalist living type arrangement. With 6 of us, we have no choice really, so we had to downsize everything. It's going to be an interesting one. The Whitsunday Islands, 74 continental islands off the tropical coast of Queensland. It was high up on our list and definitely a highlight of the trip. With 4 boys that are obsessed with fishing, it was time to put my money-spending, tight-ass reputation to rest. Hiring out a 44-foot catamaran for 5 days to see what mischief we can get up to. A little bit fancy. This is cool. We'll all be hanging out here, I reckon. Cargo. Whoa. Old skipper.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, she's a bit different to steer, eh?
Oh, it is.
Right. Rough day. What's going on down here? Waiting for the fish. What do you got, 2 rods out? The boys took every opportunity to fish where they could, and that meant trawling across to the Whitsunday Islands themselves. It was a wild first day at sea, but once we reached the islands, we'd be able to take refuge in some of the bays.
Is that our friend over there?
Yeah, it could be. He's sailing, so he's a bit quicker.
I don't know, I think I'm gaining.
You reckon you're gaining on him?
I think I'm gaining.
This is the galley.
That should be good then.
It's not bad. She's a bit of an older boat, but it's got everything we need. It's pretty cool down in here. This is the master suite where me and Louise sleep. Nice and cozy. This is Hudson's bed. Are you tired? Just watching the waves through your little porthole. It's cool. Awesome. This is cool here, eh? You can see underneath the cat. There's a catamaran. 44-foot catamaran, this one. Pretty much the same configuration on the other side of the boat. Got some more berths down here. More beds for the boys. Just slowly making our way over Stonehaven Bay. She's got a bit more.
What do you think, boys? Is this good?
Yeah.
I'm gonna want it.
When it came to the snorkeling, there was no doubt that Manta Ray Bay was our favourite. Once we got that old Mercury fired up, we were out there. This is Mum's dream right here. We couldn't get our gear on quick enough, and this was the moment we'd anticipated. It was all about to start. It was a whole nother world, a beautiful display of ocean life and waters that we're just not used to. And this time, an amazing experience to have with my family by my side. It wasn't until I'd run the footage back on my computer that we noticed that the camera had picked up the sounds of whales in the distance. Manta Ray Bay is a marine reserve, and we were lucky enough to meet one of the locals, a hump-headed wrasse, which are on the endangered species list, and it was great to see that this reserve was thriving with marine life. Elk or garfish?
I think that's good.
We swam around for hours. My whole family are a bunch of water babies, including myself. Hiding down on the ocean floor were these awesome sculptures of manta rays. I didn't even know they existed until I'd swum over them. This coral trout was playing cool tricks with me and turned himself inverted. Hello, do you need a lift? The fish in this reserve are so friendly that quite a few of them followed us back to the main boat. The main species were the batfish and the giant trevally. Is the gas working?
I think so.
What is it?
It's for you.
Oh, they got something decent on now. It's got some weight too, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Don't snap him.
Must have been
Keep
that
your
big
drag on
head
in
that
case
I
he
dropped
really
down.
wants to run too. Could be some sort of shark. Could be a... Oh yeah, it's got a,
No,
it's got a lot of
it's
kick.
a mackie, I reckon.
Imagine if it's a big snapper.
Just slowly on him, don't go too hard, bro. Because that could be the 20 pound. Just let him run, give him some drag again.
Yeah, he's got.
There he is, I can see him.
Oh, it's a
It's
mackie.
massive.
Oh, it's a big mackie.
No, it's a shark. Ah, it's a shark. What though? A little reefy probably.
Still very small.
Oh, look at him go. Righto, we've used up all our power. I'm just going to turn the generator, stop prime, start heat indicator lights, preheat. Remember how to turn it on.
I reckon.
Woke up to a low battery. Fridge has drained all our battery, all our mobile phones. Leo's just securing the tender so that it doesn't rock around. Good job. Time to get going. These guys are just working the anchor while I work the steering, otherwise we'll burn the motor out. We've got to have the boat fairly straight and true to the anchor. We've got to get the bridle off first. It's been a good learning experience. Forward. Back. It's always so busy out here, so we've got to try and secure a mooring early this morning, and then you can just snorkel and fish around that area. We'll have a look anyway. The boys are pretty keen to do some trolling, so hopefully the moorings are taken up and we can just go fishing. We're gonna fish on! Come in here.
It's heavy.
What do you got?
Mackie, I think.
Is it a mackie? How heavy?
It's heavy, but it will start running when
It'll go harder.
Yeah,
We've got some drag set. There was a huge bait ball down there on the finder. Yes! Haven't fished tonight.
Someone grab something so we can get it in.
What is that?
You want me to try and get there?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. There he goes. Woo! Don't lose him. All right. Just pull it. Just walk backwards and pull it straight. Walk backwards and pull it straight up. Walk backwards, pull it straight up the steps onto the plank. He might try and run on you. Keep walking back, or if you can get a bit more line in. Righto, walk back. You're not going to get him unless you walk back up the deck. Go now. Yes! Woo!
Shit, grab him.
Shit, grab him.
What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy man.
We got one.
Got one. So it's not huge, but hopefully it's size. We're just checking now. We're not used to these tropical fish. We're jumping back now to the very start of our trip. We're away.
Wait, I'll show you how to do it.
Breakfast is served.
Just Levi's choice of part.
Our first morning was a cheap economic breakfast, and then it was on the road, the Great Ocean Road. Our first impressions were that it was pretty spectacular, and the boys were impressed with the size of the waves. and then it was the little blue lakes of South Australia. And then the larger blue lakes. And then some giant sinkholes in the ground of Mount Gambier. Playing the tourist to our best. I reckon he's a bit friendly. Hey mate. By this point, our dreams of heading north to the sunshine came to a screaming halt when one of our boys had caught COVID, which stranded us in Adelaide for 2 weeks while visiting my sister's family. Got this babysitting thing worked out. Yes! This meant less exciting activities like the Adelaide Zoo for those that were well enough to walk around all day without infecting the rest of society. For those stranded in the accommodation, well, they got to walk the block and look at the local Datsun parked in the street. Nice and warm, isn't it? Eventually we escaped Adelaide, and with everyone fit and healthy, we're on the road again to our next destination, Coober Pedy. Bit of excitement. First morning in Coober, the boys are up early. They love the opal hunting. It's our little motel we stayed in last night, all underground. All these old mines in Coober Pedy, they turn into accommodation, a lot of them. You wouldn't know it looking out there, but we had huge amounts of rain. We came in late at 8 o'clock last night, and the road into the motel was absolutely flooded out. And we only just made it in. All the tracks are muddy, but apparently it only rains 13 days of the year. So kind of a unique time to be here with all the rain. Coober! Who's that tourist? He's excited. It was a quick fossick around for some opal of our own, then back onto the road towards the tropics. Finally, the tents began to get the use we'd brought them for, although some nights were last-minute camp spots on abandoned roads in the middle of the desert. Fresh water holes along the way to freshen up and swim, and the boys tried their luck fishing whenever the chance arose. The days were long, and driving into the night to reach our 4,000 kilometre goal of reaching the tropical climates of Cairns and the Great Barrier Reef meant that last-minute camps in less than reputable campgrounds. After what seemed like a lifetime and over 6,000 kilometres travelled, we had finally made it as far north as the tropical regions of Cairns. The old Toyota with 630,000 kilometres on the clock had done it again.
Oh no. Holy smokes.
It felt like we'd died and gone to heaven. From sub-zero temperatures in Tasmania to 30 plus degrees in Cairns. This is what we'd come for. The boys are keen fans of four-wheel drive videos on YouTube, and were on to me to give the Crab Track a go, a fairly extreme track in the heart of the Daintree National Park. First up, crossing the Daintree River itself is all part of the fun. If you don't make it across, you could be at the mercy of the local crocodiles. Across the Daintree, just got through. We didn't have four-wheel drive. The boys were a bit anxious. Dad was even a bit anxious. That was deep. few more river crossings, and then the rain began to set in. And from what we've been told, you don't want to be driving this place in the rain solo. The next spot for us was the Great Barrier Reef. Beautiful rainy day in Cairns. Good day to hire a boat and head to the Barrier Reef. At least it's warm. About 28.
Oh, he's got a poncho. We should have got a poncho.
Should have got a poncho. This is the boat for the day. I don't know where I'm going, but hopefully this chart's right.
Pull them up.
Yeah. It was a pretty daunting feeling heading 30 kilometres offshore in a small fishing boat with no real landmarks to follow. We're on what's called Lassif Reef, I think. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but this was the one that they recommended us. Going to do a bit of snorkeling, so hopefully see a few fishies, a bit of coral. Swimming in my shirt because we've seen a couple of jellyfish. We don't know what they are, so we're freaking out. We should have checked all that stuff, but we were in a bit of a hurry. The water's warm. It was great seeing all the different coloured corals and fish, but some of the coral that you see here is actually dead, and it was sad to see. And this was part of the reason that we brought our boys out here, because who knows just how long this beautiful environment may still exist. The sun's finally came out. It's just beautiful, really blue now. Everything's come to life. I was out underwater for a bit and you could just see so much more colour in the water even. Hey you! What's going on here? It's a bit pretty. It's crazy. So pretty. Hey?
The hope of people watching me struggle to get out of the water.
It looks so blue. Look how blue it is. Another location high on the list for us was Fraser Island. Fraser Island is 123 kilometres long and is the largest sand island in the world. Surprisingly, the majority of the island is covered in beautiful rainforests, which have miraculously managed to grow from the sandy floor beneath. It's an incredible ecosystem and was definitely one of the favourite spots to visit. And my mum and dad were eager to come along for the adventure as well. Jeez, who's that fit fella? Oh, look at it go. The majority of our first day was spent travelling the eastern side of the island. We stopped in to see the iconic SS Mahino wreck. In 1935, the ship had reached the end of its life and it was being towed to Osaka to be dismantled. But in transit, it ended up being caught in a strong cyclone on the 25th of June and ended up beached on the eastern coast of Fraser Island. After we left the shipwreck, we came across a wandering soul on his own along the beach. How you going, Coober? So beautiful though, aren't they? first time we'd ever seen a dingo in the flesh. I've got to admit they're pretty fascinating. As we travelled a little further along the coast, someone spotted some whales. They were about 1 kilometre offshore and they were putting on a really good display. We were absolutely loving Fraser Island as we continued to make our way to the northernmost tip of the island. What do you call it? Nagala.
Nagala Rocks.
Nagala. We're about to do the famous Nagala Rocks. As we travelled the coast, we could also see the whales continuing to migrate the coast as well. We eventually made it to the northernmost part of the island, and there were beautiful sand dunes, more dingoes surrounding the area, and plenty more coastline for us to explore and fish. With only 3 days to explore the island, there was no way that we'd be able to see it all. But one place that you don't want to miss while you're there is Lake Mackenzie. It's a freshwater lake with crystal blue waters, which is a great way to rinse off some of the salt after you've been travelling around the rest of the island. Eventually it came time to leave Fraser Island, but not only that, to return home to Tasmania. It had been a fun-filled 11,000 kilometre journey over 5 weeks, which I hope my boys will always remember and be able to look back on. Hopefully some of you have enjoyed this video as well. If you could give it a like, comment and share with others, that'd be great, and it'll help it be recommended to others. And I'll see you guys all on the next one.